Hey YouTube, what's going on? This is JinKoi51. Today I'm going to, instead of my usual trick shot videos, I'm going to make another vlog. So today I'm going to be talking about 3 different types of low deflection shafts. And I'm going to give you my review of each one and tell you the construction, how they do it, and various other minute things that you may want to know about the shaft, a Q shaft in general. So this is actually my standard shaft. It is I use it for my brake Q and all. They use for this shaft, for standard shafts, they use one piece of wood, and they would just lay it down to make the shape of the shaft. That's it. It has a half-inch ferrule with a lapro tip. Also has a metal insert. But it doesn't belong to my Q here, right here. It belongs to my trick shot Q, brake Q, Marseille Q, that sort of Q. So most woods, all these woods are Canadian hard rock maple, except for the OB shaft, which I'm going to talk about later. I don't exactly know what wood it is. Now I'm going to be talking about the features of a shaft that you can get. It'll be the shape of the shaft, types of ferrules you can get out there, and tips, inserts, etc. Blah blah blah. So there are 3 types of tapers out there: pro taper, double taper, and not massive taper, and conical taper. Those are the 3 main types. There are different types out there, but I'm not going to bother mentioning it because there's too many out there. So the pro taper is the most common one. So what that is it starts from the size of the shaft starts at the ferrule, then it stays consistent for the first foot or so, and then it gradually becomes wider and bigger as it reaches to the joint. This is the most common type of taper out there, and is most standard on most shafts now these days. Now my ferrule here is, I think it's made out of ivory, which is a ivory type of substitute, but I doubt it. I think it's a type of cheap plastic, I don't know. And the size of the tip is 13 millimeters on my standard shaft. The size of the tip, what that does is, if the bigger the tip, the more forgiving it is to a novice player, because you don't miscue that often if you want to put extreme left or extreme right or extreme English on it, and so it's more forgiving, but it puts less English on the ball. Smaller diameter tips are like 11 3/4, 12 millimeter tips, and I've even seen the smallest one I've heard of that a manufacturer can offer is 11.3 millimeters. Those types of cues that have those types of diameter tips impart more action into the cue ball and puts more spin into them. But most of the time I've noticed that you can miscue just a tad bit more often if you're not careful. So yeah, those are the differences. The inserts can be, the 3 main types of inserts can be phenolic, metal, and wood. This is a metal one, just like what I said. Metal is supposed to be the most stiffest type of hit, while wood is supposed to be the more softest. And phenolic, from my experience and in my opinion, it feels like in between those 2. So that's what it is. Now, before I get into my low deflection shafts, what exactly is deflection? Deflection is basically it's not a phenomenon, what am I saying? It's basically, and what happens is when you put extreme left or extreme right English on a cue ball, what happens is if you have a shaft that's heavy on the first few inches of the shaft, what happens is it tends to push the cue ball out of its way, and thus it basically strays off the straight path that you intended to be. Low deflection shafts, what cue companies do is they will hollow out the first few inches of the shaft and then put maybe like lightweight foam or just leave it hollow. And so what that's supposed to do is supposed to cause the shaft to flex and thus, bend out of the way of the cue ball and thus pushing the cue ball in its intended path. So that's what low deflection shafts do. Now, I'm going to go in order by which shaft I got first. So the first one that I ever got is a Tiger X Pro shaft. As you can see, it's made out of 5 different pieces. Yep, it's made out of 5 different pieces. Has a 1/4-inch ferrule with a onyx tip on it. And the red part that you see is actually a carbon fiber pad that's supposed to protect the ferrule. Also has a phenolic joint. See that black part? That's phenolic. Yep, Tiger X Pro. So how they constructed is the Tiger X Pro. How they constructed is that they take a thin piece of square wood like this, not square wood, but like a square prism, I guess. And then they take different squares and put it together and laminate together like that. Then they will lay it down to make the shape of the shaft. Now this type of taper is a conical taper. Now, and the tip size is, like what I said, 11 3/4. So it's pretty small, and I like small tips. That's just my opinion. Now, stiffness-wise, if I have to rate it between a 10 and a 0, 0 being like pretty much like a wet noodle, and 10 meaning like the very stiffest kind, like pretty much like a tree trunk, I would say it's more on the 6. I would rate it as a 6. It's pretty good. I like stiff shafts, and depending on, I don't like it too whippy, and then again I don't like it too stiff, so it's perfect for me. Now the reason why I got it was because my standard shaft for my Dale Perry here was a one-piece shaft, and I did not like the feel of it. So a friend of mine that I recently visited, he has a Tiger shaft, but it's not like my Tiger Pro. It's a Tiger Ultra Low Deflection Shaft, LD. And so he asked me, "Oh, how is your Dale Perry?" And I'm like, "Oh, I hate the feel of it. And I like the look, but I hate the feel." So he was like, "Oh, try out my Tiger shaft. You may like it." And so I tried it out for a little while, and I love the feel. So I saved money, and I got myself the Tiger X Pro, and I loved it. So that's the first low deflection shaft that I ever got. The second one that I ever got is my Predator Z2 shaft. This is my Predator Z2 shaft. Has a phenolic joint. The R means it's radial pin, and all three of my low deflection shafts are radial pin. Now it's made out of 10 individual pie-shaped pieces, but they choose certain pieces of the wood to make it all uniform, just like this. The tip, I believe it's 1/3 of an inch, and the ferrule, excuse me, is 1/3 of an inch, and the tip is a Tiger Everest tip. Now my Predator shaft is a bit more stiffer than my Tiger X Pro. I said that my Tiger is rated as a 6. I would say that the Predator is rated as a 7, which is still pretty good, and the deflection on it, barely any, absolutely minimal. Same thing with the Tiger. Same thing with the Tiger shaft, if not just a bit better. Predator shafts, the Q company Predator has revolutionized how we make shafts today, and this is basically a lot of people try to copy them, but trademark can't. So, oh, by the way, before I get into my OB, I got my Tiger and my Predator on eBay, but my Tiger I paid $183. And my Predator Z2, I got it for a good price. I got it for $162. So for those of you who wanted to get a good deal, look on eBay, because you might find some really good finds. Now, This third shaft that I got it from a friend for free, and I'm gonna explain why. Is an OB2 shaft. That's an OB2 shaft with a silver ring. Has a wood insert to it, and they use 6 pieces of wood, but they construct them in a certain way that's very unique. This is a wood ferrule. It's actually made out of. Thank you. It's actually made out of like individual pieces of wood to make that spiraling effect. And the tip you see is a Tiger Everest tip. The red part that you see on the Tiger Everest it's supposed to be like a warning sign, like saying that, oh, you're supposed to replace your tip. And the black part that you see is actually carbon fiber pad to protect the ferrule. So that's what an OB shaft is. So what OB does is pretty unique. They take 6 standard shafts. They cut a section of it off, and then they glue those 6 shafts together, and then they would lathe it all down. And so it's supposed to create that spiraling effect, just like the OB logo. That's what it basically is. Now the story of how I got it for free. A friend of mine actually had a Dale Perry just like me, but he sold that Dale Perry, but he couldn't sell the shaft because apparently he damaged it. Now the top part of the ferrule wasn't supposed to be this small. It was supposed to be a tad bit larger. And what happened is when I received it from him as a gift, the top part of the ferrule was like bowing out, and like I think it was a small little crack in it. So I took it to my friend, and he sanded it all down or chopped it off. I don't exactly know what he did, and he put on the Tiger Everest tip on it. And I gotta say, it hits like a dream. It really does. I love the OB2 just as much as I love my Z2 shaft. And I want to give a shout out to my friend who helped me put on my tip and cut down the ferrule. Thank Jeff. If you're watching this, thank you so much for doing this for me. I cannot thank you enough. So yeah, since it has, okay, now back to the Q review. Since it has a wood ferrule, wood joint, it's a bit more on the softer side. So I rated my Tiger as a 6, my Predator as a 7. I would say my OB is like maybe like a 5. So it's within a good range. So yeah, that is the base constructions and the differences between all 3 of these different shafts. And I gotta say, I love the OB2 and the Z2. The Tiger I still love, but in my opinion, is not as good as the Tiger, as the Predator and the OB. But that's just my opinion. Now, I'm not going to keep all these shafts. I'm going to sell one of them eventually. Most likely my Tiger. But, you know, who knows, I might still keep it. So those are my 3 shafts and my Q review. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'm going to be posting more trick shot videos and more videos, I guess, like this from now on. So yeah, thank you. Subscribe, comment, you know, tell me what's wrong, tell me what isn't, tell me what's good, or your choice. Thank you guys so much for watching.